beautiful. We're the only Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters 2, the highly anticipated sequel to the 1984 classic, arrived in 1989 to a lukewarm response from critics and a lower than expected box office. But was Ghostbusters 2 that bad? Today, I'm going to talk about why Ghostbusters 2 is one of the most underrated sequels of all time and why it's finally time for everyone to admit it's a good movie. Hi, I'm Ken Cole, and if you enjoy movies and TV shows, you're in the right place. And if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit like, subscribe, and share, and you'll help this channel grow. And now, without further ado, let's get into the story of Ghostbusters 2. In 1984, Ghostbusters became the highest-grossing comedy of all time. The film took supernatural horror elements and blended them with uproarious comedy to create something brand new that audiences love to this day. The movie starred SNL and Second City comedy dynamos Bill Murray, Dan Akroyd, Harold Ramis, and Rick Moranis, along with a supremely talented supporting cast including Sigourney Weaver, Ernie Hudson, Annie Potts, and William Atherton. The movie launched a cultural phenomenon, generating millions from toys, games, and a popular animated series. A sequel was inevitable. In 1989, during the same summer as Batman, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the long-awaited sequel, Ghostbusters 2, was released to mixed reviews.
Yes, they are back.
Our next film is Ghostbusters 2, and it's a major disappointment.
With almost all critics agreeing that it wasn't as good as the original. Common complaints included that it wasn't fresh enough or funny enough. Still, the movie was a hit, just not as big a hit as expected. Prominent critics like Siskel and Ebert put it on their worst of 1989 lists.
But when a great comedy like Ghostbusters comes along, don't the makers of that film have some obligation to make a sequel that at least tries to live up to the reputation of the original?
And for the rest of the 90s, the franchise was put into the Ecto Cooler. Now, of course, I think the critics in '89 got it wrong. So let's take another look at Ghostbusters 2. The movie opens 5 years after the original, and the opening shot is of slime rising from a crack in the sidewalk. The slime touches a stroller that belongs to Dana Barrett and her son Oscar. When the stroller takes off on its own,
Stop that carriage! Stop!
It runs into traffic and barely stops before hitting a bus. Cut to the main Ghostbusters, who are now split up. Ray and Winston are doing birthday parties, Egon is doing psychological research, and Peter is hilariously hosting a talk show called World of the Psychic.
Hi, welcome back to World of the Psychic. I'm Peter Venkman.
After the events of the first movie, the team was sued into oblivion and banned from ghostbusting.
Man, face it, Ghostbusters doesn't exist.
After all we did for this city.
Though once Dana tells them about what happened to Oscar, the Ghostbusters are quick to investigate. Oh, and speaking of Dana, she has a job restoring paintings at the Museum of Art, and has a creepy boss named Janosch who keeps asking her to lunch.
Do I have a bad breath or something?
Of course not.
All right. Well...
But there's an even bigger creep in the museum in the form of a huge painting of Vigo the Carpathian, a 17th century tyrant and sorcerer. And the painting just happens to be haunted by the spirit of Vigo himself.
What?
The thing is, Vigo needs a human child to inhabit so he can rule the world.
Find me a child that I might live again.
After teaming up with Janosch, Vigo decides that Dana's son Oscar would be perfect for a New Year's Vigo possession. As Vigo gains strength from New Yorkers' negativity, slime flows towards the museum. Ghost activity spikes. Egon and Ray figure out how to use the slime against evil. The Ghostbusters team resumes business before being committed by the mayor's assistant, and everything leads toward an epic confrontation involving the New York police, the Statue of Liberty, and a newly returned Vigo. The first thing you may notice about Ghostbusters 2 is that the tone is a little different from the first movie. The original Ghostbusters took a very straightforward approach to the story, set in a normal world where some characters are believers in paranormal.
Symmetrical book stacking, just like the Philadelphia Man's Turbulence of 1947.
Some are skeptics.
I don't believe in any of those things.
and some are lovable charlatans.
I hate this. I like to torture them.
When ghosts start to appear, even the experts aren't sure what to do.
So what do we do?
And they're genuinely scared by these things. It was fun watching the characters charting new territory and learning about ghosts firsthand. The second movie doesn't play it as straight as the first movie, and it almost seems to be smiling and winking at the audience. It's a bit more self-aware, with the hit theme song being popular within the movie universe.
Song.
And there's the gloriously meta touch of the Ghostbusters 2 logo being featured in the movie, on the building, on the uniforms, and on Ecto-1A. The movie also seems to take inspiration from the real Ghostbusters animated series, including Janine's revamped look, Winston without a mustache, and Slimer seems much friendlier and closer to the animated version. As opposed to the early 80s gritty, grainy look of the original Ghostbusters, Part 2 has a much glossier, brighter look and feel. Like it knows it's going to be a blockbuster. Ghostbusters 2 is a movie that loves being a sequel to Ghostbusters and has no problem bragging about it. So what makes Ghostbusters 2 a special movie, and much better than its reputation would suggest? It all starts with the insanely talented cast and crew. This is the only other Ghostbusters movie that brought back the entire creative team from the original. With a script by Dan Akroyd and Harold Ramis and direction by Ivan Reitman, all of the main cast returned except William Atherton. In his place is comedy stalwart Kurt Fuller as Peck substitute Jack Hardemeyer. This movie is an amazing showcase for a group of legendary performers who rarely appeared in the same movie. Bill Murray is a superstar and the highlight for many people. He dishes out witty sarcasm and irreverence at every turn.
Give me angry. Will you give me angry if you've had a bad day? You're cranky? Yeah, thank you. Good.
Dan Akroyd and Harold Ramis are in fine form, playing true ghost-busting scientists who investigate supernatural dangers at all costs.
What? Ray.
And even though Ernie Hudson deserves more screen time as Winston, he's an amazing presence on screen and continues to ground the Ghostbusters team. Sigourney Weaver returns as single mom Dana Barrett, who must protect her son from the big bad. Rick Moranis has more laugh-out-loud moments as Louis Tully, and Annie Potts plays a more effervescent version of Janine. And of course, the hilarious newcomer Peter McNichol as Janosch steals every scene he's in.
No photographs, please. Slides are available in the gift shop.
With a completely invented accent and great physicality. Even the big baddie himself, Vigo, is voiced by legendary actor Max von Sydow. It's an amazing ensemble, made more special with the knowledge that this was the last time they were all together on screen. Classic scenes include the Scoleri brothers' battle in the courtroom, World of the Psychic, Vigo's reveal, the ghost train sequence with Winston, and the Statue of Liberty walking down the streets of New York. This movie is funny. In fact, I remember that was the one-word review from Kids on the Playground. How is Ghostbusters 2? Funny. Now, I'll admit that the humor seems to be aimed more at kids in Ghostbusters 2, whereas the first movie is full of social satire that flew over kids' heads.
I'm giving this whole thing as a promotional expense. That's why I invited clients instead of friends. You having a good time, Mark?
But today, decades later, even adults can appreciate when Ray uses an NES Advantage to drive the Statue of Liberty, and some of the best scenes still have adults in mind.
Where'd you get your date, Elaine?
I was having a drink at the bar, alone, and this alien approached me. He started talking to me. He bought me a drink.
In addition to being funny, Ghostbusters 2 is a light, positive movie where evil is defeated by friendship, community, and good vibes. The Ghostbusters are able to take the evil slime and turn it into good slime that loves Jackie Wilson music, animates the Statue of Liberty, and plays a big role in the final confrontation against Vigo. It's a reassuring message for kids who might be afraid of ghosts. And speaking of Vigo, in my opinion, he is the best villain in the Ghostbusters series. Now don't get me wrong, I love Gozer from the original, but Gozer was an abstract Sumerian god, and we don't see Gozer until the end of the movie. Although Gozer had minions like Vince Clortho and Zool, and there was a little more lore.
During the rectification of the Voldrani, the Traveler came as a large and moving torb.
Vigo the Carpathian, however, is a spirit version of a 17th century tyrant that inhabits a painting of himself.
On a mountain of skulls in the castle of pain, I sat on a throne of blood.
And Vigo seems to be inspired by Vlad the Impaler and Rasputin. I think the idea of an evil spirit haunting a painting is a lot more relatable and scary of a concept, especially if you've seen some creepy old paintings in your life. Also, we see Vigo very early in the movie. He's a more consistent presence, and he interacts with multiple characters. He even possesses Ray, so he's much more of a personal villain for our heroes. The soundtrack is also good, with the returning mega hit Ghostbusters theme by Ray Parker Jr., plus a new version of the theme by Run DMC.
Yes, we're back.
That plays during the Ghostbusting montage. It's fun, but of course it's not on the same level as Ray Parker Jr.'s song. Flip City sets a creepy mood for when the city is overrun by ghosts, and Higher gets a great Statue of Liberty showcase. The standout song, though, is On Our Own by Bobby Brown, which helps give Ghostbusters 2 its own identity. The musical score by Randy Edelman supports the movie well and has some subtle nods to the original movie. It's a mainstream style score with a heroic theme for the Ghostbusters, though it's perhaps less distinct and memorable than Elmer Bernstein's score from the original movie. So do I think Ghostbusters 2 is better than Ghostbusters 1? Well, it's hard for any movie to beat the original Ghostbusters. It's an all-time classic. Though I find the sequel to be a welcome and entertaining return to these characters. And if you'd asked me when I was 10 to 14 years old, I definitely would have ranked Ghostbusters 2 as better than the first movie. Though I can maybe see why people like Siskel and Ebert wanted something a little different, new or fresh in the second movie. We don't really see the characters change much, and they go through similar paths as the first one. The original movie followed them setting up this Ghostbusters team and hiring Winston. We got to see them figuring out how to do this as a business, like in the ballroom scene. Ghostbusters 2 hits some of the same notes, though it's still funny, a little more cartoonish, and less in the real world. The characters of Louis and Janine seem a bit broader in Ghostbusters 2, though Rick Moranis and Annie Potts give excellent performances. And I guess the ending could have been a little more epic. The Ghostbusters just shoot slime at Vigo and he disappears into the painting. Maybe the Ghostbusters could have been drawn into the hellish world of Vigo. I don't know. But honestly, for this movie, the ending still works. Another thing is that while the story focuses on the slime, we don't really learn many new things about ghosts, and the, quote, ghostbusting part is kind of skimmed over in this movie. We had the initial courtroom scene with the very well done Scoleri Brothers ghosts, and that's kind of it until the montage that hints at awesome new techniques like the crystal store beams, though that's not expanded upon at all. And there isn't much ghost-busting action with the proton packs and traps. And yeah, maybe some of the texture is missing, some of the hilarious social satire and commentary is missing, and nothing in Ghostbusters 2 is as blissfully funny as the Stay-Puffed Marshmallow Man, though the Statue of Liberty walking through the streets of New York is an amazing idea and goes for those same heights. The end credits showing deleted scenes from the movie actually hint at more human textural moments and time with these characters. In fact, there are clues that tons of deleted material for Ghostbusters 2 exists beyond the scenes that have been officially released, and it'd be fascinating to see this material. Unfortunately, it seems much harder to find behind-the-scenes info about Part 2 than Part 1. Ivan Reitman said,
I think we had waited a long time to do the second one, probably too long.
And I would have loved to hear more about that. Did they like the early ideas better? Was it that Ghostbusters 2 was influenced too much by the popularity of the Ghostbusters phenomenon? Perhaps we'll learn more in the future. But Ghostbusters 2, in my opinion, should finally get the recognition it deserves. It's entertaining and funny, and I think it's one of the better movies that Ivan Reitman ever made. Its biggest problem is that it's the sequel to perhaps the greatest comedy of all time. But now, over 30 years later, I think it's time to enjoy and appreciate the movie for everything it does right and its crucial place in Ghostbusters lore. What do you think of Ghostbusters 2? Do you agree that it's underrated, or do you not like it? Let me know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Again, it really helps this channel to grow. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.